So if you saw our promo, you know that this is our jar of topics, and we are going to pick our first topic for episode 2.
Yes, here we go. All right. I should be fancy and be like, I'm going to jostle, but I'm just
Do you want to pick it?
Yeah, I'm going to be unadventurous and just pick the one from the top. Oh, that fell. There we go. All right, and it is, who are your favorite cartoon characters and why?
Ooh. You gotta do like the makeup tutorial where you're like this.
Oh,
so you don't
to make sure it's all in focus.
Okay. Well, I'm excited about this one. I am overly prepared for this episode.
All right, stay tuned. Hey everybody, it's Sara
and Charity and friends.
And welcome to Bobbleheads on the Dash.
So I'm really excited about this topic because, as you see, I came prepared. Wasn't it we were talking about cartoon characters?
Yes.
I have many things to say.
I came prepared mentally. But
that's all we can ask for some days.
But Charity definitely came.
Well, it's a video series, so I feel like once again I should have some visual aids because visual aids make the world go round.
That's very true.
As the old scientist said.
Yes, the old scientist.
The old nameless scientist.
Mr. The Old Scientist with his scientific quips.
Okay, well, I will start this off because I'll talk about these two first. That way I can briefly sit them off to the side.
Well, first, make sure you like and subscribe so that way you
crap! I did it wrong.
No, it's okay. We're going to like and subscribe whether you want to or not.
It's my second day on the job. Be gracious to me.
So like and subscribe for more good intentions. It didn't quite work out as well, but yet we were able to shoehorn that in somehow. So go ahead, Charity. Now that I've got that out of the way.
Commercial free. You're gonna get all the bloopers and all of the discussion all in one file.
Uncut, commercial free. So now that we said like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. Check us out on all different platforms.
We Harmon Sisters.
We Harmon Sisters. Now.
Okay, so. We're talking about favorite cartoon characters and why. So, as you can see with my vast array of visual aids here, you can usually tell, and there's more where that came from, you can usually tell when I like something, one, by if I purchase their merch, or if I, if I draw their characters, which we'll get to art in a second. So, first we'll start with the Lorax. So, huge Dr. Seuss fan, have been since I was a kid. The Lorax is probably one of my favorite characters. And then this movie came out, what was this, 2012?
Oh, has it been that long? Now I gotta look and see.
You look while I discuss.
I have a job to do.
She's my intern. So you can focus on me. Okay. So this movie came out at some point when I was in college.
Yeah.
But I was super excited about it. Much more excited than like the average 20-something should be. But first of all, they used Danny DeVito as the voice of the Lorax. How perfect is that?
That is perfect casting.
Like they're like the same height. And they're, gruff personality, yet lovable. Yeah. I just love that cartoon so much. And
he's orange with a mustache, just like Danny DeVito.
Danny, if you're ever watching this, she said that, not me.
I guess it's more Oompa Loompa, wouldn't it? Even though it's a Seuss character, I guess.
Oh my gosh!
It's the orange skin. I guess that was the first thing that came to mind. That's not a cartoon character though, so.
The Lorax has fur though. This isn't skin. Over here insulting him. Anyway, in the movie, Zac Efron plays the role of Ted, who is the main character who goes and talks to the Onceler. And for all the Swifties out there, he's in love with a beautiful girl who is voiced by Taylor Swift. But I just love his character just because, I do like animals. He does try to speak up for nature and stuff. I love the movie. I thought the music was great. I do love the Lorax.
Oh, and it was 2012.
Okay, so
man, how time goes by. Huh?
I know. Jeez. We'll keep this up for now because we'll get to movies here in a minute. Okay, this little guy you will recognize as Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc. Okay, so funny story about this. So I mentioned before, you can usually tell I like a character if I buy the merch.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't have Sully. So if someone wants to send me Sully, please do. That way Mike is not out here alone.
Yeah, send it to us with a P.O. box we don't have. So
well, we'll get back to you on that.
We'll get back. If just send it in the mail and put We Harmon Sisters, and they'll know exactly where to send it to.
If you live in our city, you know how to contact me. Get me Sully so I can have him teamed up with Mike here. Yes. Anyway, so I was shopping at Sam's Club. Once again, shout out to places that aren't sponsoring it. Yeah, you see all this stuff here? Nobody is sponsoring. No, isn't that a shame?
It is basically, we're doing some manifesting right here. Right?
Yes. So. Mike Wazowski will soon sponsor us. Okay, so I was shopping at Sam's Club, and, you know, I had my list of what I needed. Mike Wazowski was not on the list, but as I was just walking, pushing my cart, I saw this big bin full of stuffed animals. And Mike was literally sitting on top. Like, it was like this mound of stuffies. And then he was just like, bam. Like, I'm just hanging out, living my best life. And, you know, if this were a movie, you would hear that angelic host.
The signs from the heavens.
And so I literally was just like, okay, he's mine now. So I grabbed him and put him in the cart. No, I don't need any more stuffed animals. Like, there's no specific reason why I needed to have it, other than I needed to have it. But like Monsters Inc., super funny, love the movies. Billy Crystal, freaking hilarious. Like,
oh yeah,
I just
another example of good casting, having John Goodman as Sully and Billy Crystal as Mike Wazowski. It worked out perfectly.
Well, and one of my favorite lines from any movie is, "Oh, put that where you came from, or so help me."
Oh my god.
There's random moments where, like, I'll just say that. I could be talking to myself. I could be alone in the house, and I'll start singing that out loud. One of the funniest things, there's a video somewhere on YouTube. Don't look for it now because you're watching us.
Yes.
There's a video on YouTube where someone had a compilation of just that scene, but they did it in all the different languages. So it was like German, French, Chinese, so hilarious. Because you know what they're saying, and so you hear all the accents and all the different, and it's just it's hilarious, and you get to hear what the voices sound like in other countries.
Yeah.
You know, because not everyone's going to sound like Billy Crystal, so you hear like the Mike Wazowski of France. You know, it's just it's hilarious. So love that character.
Also, I should have looked it up. I'm curious if that was like ad-libbed and they just kind of went with it. I feel like
they would be. When you have a comedy legend like that,
I feel like a lot of some of the good stuff. Because I mean, heck, even like when you watch like Aladdin, half that stuff that.
Oh gosh, Robin Williams.
So I'm kind of curious if that or maybe other parts had to have been ad-libbed. Because you think about it, like how are you gonna write that in a script? how would you write that? Like, or maybe it's the indication of them doing it, but you don't know what the tune is going to be. So I feel like even if maybe it was scripted, you still have to figure out what it sounds like. You could have had
in the script where Mike says, put that thing back where you came from, or so help me, but like the sing-songy part.
Yeah, they probably did that.
Maybe it said in parentheses, pretend like you're singing the song, but like their interpretation of how that came out was an ad-lib. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know that. I would have to research that.
But it sounds like it was something that they would do, though. That sounds like something like that.
Should I keep going, or do you want to jump in? Because I have more things, obviously, but I know. Well, we should share the camera and take turns, because sharing is caring. It can be fun.
Wow. Okay. So that way, we'll talk to the one that has the empty table aside from the two. So, I mean, maybe in post, I can show some footage of some of the stuff I have. So, in terms of my favorite characters that I also have in terms of merchandising is Peanuts. Ever since my existence, I guess, I have always liked Charlie Brown, Snoopy, Woodstock. Like, I think it's just the simplicity of the art that I like about it. And honestly, the precociousness of these, I don't know how old they're supposed to be, 7, 8-year-olds, but they talk like they're 30. And maybe that's what makes it timeless. They kind of grow with you. They stay that same age, but they talk as if they've experienced a full life.
Well, I mean, the script is written by an adult, but they were always voiced by children. Which was kind of a big deal. Yeah. To have kids actually play that role.
Yeah, even nowadays, because you still have adults doing children's voices even nowadays. But yeah, it was just something that I've always liked it, and honestly, Charles Schulz as a creator, he's one of my inspirations of becoming an artist in the first place. I think him and Bob Ross were probably like my introductions to art. So it kind of makes sense that I would really, really get into Charlie Brown. So in terms of cartoon characters, they're my favorite. Also, they're probably the first of what I remember in terms of educational cartoons. Because with the comics, with the comics, it's fun and stuff, but they did a series called This Is America, Charlie Brown. See, my section is more educational. Charity's like, I like Mike Wazowski.
Okay.
And I'm like, intellectually speaking, I really like Charlie Brown.
Mike Wazowski taught us many things in Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, how to put things where they came from was so helpful. He taught us to put things back.
Taught us about friendship. See, that's why I need Sully. Someone needs to get me Sully so I can prove my point that Monsters, Inc. is educational. And the Lorax taught us about speaking for the trees.
Yes, but the Lorax travel with the Wright brothers to see the first airplane in flight?
Maybe if they were chopping down stuff to the trees, maybe he would have. Maybe he would have appeared in the stuff. Because what were the airplanes made out of? Tree trunks, right? Am I right? So you chop down trees to make your airplanes. All the airplane fails. You probably had a pile of timber somewhere. So the Lorax would have to show up and be like, listen up, Orville and Wilbur.
I like how
I speak for the trees.
I like how specifically tree trunks. Like he just because trunks on the wings of a plane.
That's how the Lorax appears. When you chop down a tree, he appears in the tree trunk. So when Orville and Wilbur chop down a tree to make the plane, and he's like, listen, y'all, tearing up these trees. I don't sound like Danny DeVito, but I'm just saying, the Lorax is educational.
That's true.
I won't have any slander.
Had he been in Kitty Hawk, things would have been so much different. But yeah, so Charlie Brown. I like the educational aspect of it. I think the reason why I like both art and history is because of Charlie Brown, specifically Charles Schulz, who created the characters. So, and I do have stuffed animals. I've had some throughout my life of, little Snoopy stuffed dolls or Charlie Brown dolls or whatever. That I have just fun stuffed animal characters and a few collectors, and also have a lot of their books. And I also enjoy drawing. I also enjoy drawing them.
Oh,
so what a segue!
Did you say drawing?
my topic is at an end. So now it's Charity's turn to talk about more of her stuff. Take it away, Charity.
Well, no, it was a great segue. It was a great segue because that is another reason how you can tell that I like a certain character. Anyone that's known me at least since high school to now knows that I love to draw. I've been drawing since I could hold a pencil. One of my go-to drawings, in our previous episode we talked about like comfort shows. Like some people maybe always watch Friends or Psych or whatever.
Yeah, dishwashing TV.
Yes. I have comfort drawings to where, especially like if I go through a period of time where I'm not drawing and then I pick up the pencil and paper again, I'm like, let me just start with something easy so that I can kind of get back into the habit of it. So like Disney characters are a very comfort food drawing thing for me. So since we were talking about drawings, should I do these first or you want me to do these first?
Do the ones up top.
Okay.
Either way, we're about to get a bit of an art gallery explanation.
That's true. Okay, so that's another reason why I was excited about this, because I kind of get to show off just a little bit. I'm going to put these down so that way you can get the full...
we've had enough of that.
The full experience. No, I'm going to come back to this for sure. Okay, so if you've seen Oliver and Company, we actually did it for our other event that we do here in town called Harmon's in Hollywood.
Yes.
Where we show classic movies, or we do some cartoons. We've had kids come to our events too, or just millennials who want to relive some of their childhood. So this is Jenny and Oliver. I originally drew it first, and then I painted it. So Oliver and Company is like a very underrated Disney film.
Yeah, you don't hear that talked about a lot.
Yeah, like, I mean, even for like animal movies, you might hear 101 Dalmatians, or even like Fox and the Hound, or maybe Aristocats or something, which are all, great movies. Or he gets lost in the Disney princess world, which is a whole other level.
Yeah.
But like Oliver and Company just kind of flies under the radar. But so, plus it's Billy Joel as the lead, as the Artful Dodger. Hello.
Yeah,
so love. You can put that off to the side. Okay.
I'll take this, shall I?
So here's another painting I did. These were just for fun. So a few years ago, and probably more than a few, I don't know, maybe 10 or so, I was watching Cartoon Network, and anyone that knows me knows that my favorite animal is pandas. I love bears in general, but like pandas are my favorite. So I'm just channel surfing, and I come across this cartoon that's got like 3 of my favorite things in the world in it. I'm like, what is this magical goodness? And it's We Bare Bears on Cartoon Network. And I will say, there's very few shows that I actually like from Cartoon Network. I mean, there's some fun ones, but not any that I'm going to sit down and like binge.
Yeah.
This one I have liked for many years. Yeah. And so, like I said, when you find something that you like, you either buy the merch or you do fan art for it. Mm-hmm. So this is another one. Do you want to jump in before I go to these? Because these take a little explanation.
Other cartoon characters that I like aside from Charlie Brown, I also like the Pink Panther. And
that's a good one. I'm going to scoot these over.
Oh, let's scoot these over. Yeah, we don't want to have them intermingling with the canvas.
I don't want to knock it over.
So considerate. But yeah, I really like the Pink Panther, and depending on the age in which you're aware of the Pink Panther, most people know the movies, especially with the Peter Sellers films and then the remake with Steve Martin. So a lot of people are familiar with the movies. What some of you may not know is because of the popularity of the films back in the mid-'60s. If you've ever seen the animation, especially of the first film, we were introduced to this character, the Pink Panther. It's also the name of the giant jewel, of course.
They did a modern update of the Pink Panther a few years ago, the cartoon.
Yes, they did.
I think they're on YouTube, actually.
They did.
They did Pink Panther and the Ant and Aardvark, which is another show we grew up watching, but they did updated versions of those.
Well, because like with Looney Tunes, you have your Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Foghorn Leghorn, you have all. So like within the Pink Panther universe, you have obviously the Pink Panther, you have the Ant and Aardvark, you have Hoot Kloot, you have some other characters like that.
Oh, y'all don't know about Hoot Kloot. I didn't know you were gonna bring that up.
All these weird obscure characters that a very like niche group of people are going to know what we're talking about depending on what the topics are. So the Pink Panther he's just a smooth cat, literally, and he is a panther that is pink. And what's funny is that, again, we're used to like those characters, like, everyone knows, like Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, that kind of stuff. But you don't really hear a lot about the Pink Panther cartoon series, and that was really big back in the day. And basically it's just everything he does turns pink, if that makes sense. So like the first episode, he paints everything pink because that's just what he's known for. And then you have this like guy character that's kind of like the foil in the plan, and that happens in almost every episode.
It's sort of vaudeville style. Because we were talking about pilot episodes in our pilot. That's a good kind of reference to talk about pilot, because it was very simple. The pilot, it's Pink Panther, who is pink. He's painting things pink. The other guy, what's the man's name?
I don't know if he has a name, but
the little white man, but he's literally white.
He's known as Big Nose, which is kind of interesting because he's basically all nose.
He's nose and body.
With body.
Nose and body, arms and legs. So Big Nose Man paints things blue, but so there's pink, white, and blue, and that's the only colors that are in. I guess black is like the trace outline of the characters. Yeah. But that's it. So like the color scheme is very simple. The storyline's very simple. Yeah. Very rarely is there talking. There's a couple episodes where Pink Panther's talking,
which is really weird.
Or there's a couple that has a laugh track in it.
There's some that have
depending on which version that you like. But like for the most part, it's like watching a silent movie. It's watching the antics of how he gets in trouble this time and how he gets himself out of it, if he does.
Yeah, and then Charity was just talking about Ant and Aardvark. That's an interesting one too, because you're used to hearing, like Tweety and Sylvester. Again, we're talking about Tom and Jerry, but it's kind of interesting.
Cat and mouse type of cartoons where one's always chasing the other.
Yeah, but what better one to do an ant and an anteater, right? So it's this one anteater trying to get just this one main ant, and that's basically it. It's a Tom and Jerry, but with ants.
An ant that sounds like Dean Martin.
Yes, the ant. So the guy that did the impression. This one actually does have dialogue. So the guy that did the impression, his name, I believe at the time of this recording, he's still alive. His name is John Biner. He was known for doing impressions. That was his comedy. So yeah, the ant character is supposed to be like Dean Martin, kind of smooth talking, sounds a bit inebriated or whatever. And then the aardvark is supposed to be a Jewish comedian named Jackie Mason.
Go look up Dean Martin Celebrity Roast.
Yes, and look up Jackie Mason, and listen to how he sounds and how he talks, and then even look at the way they drew him. I'm like, there's no denying who that is.
When you do that, watch the old Anne the Aardvark cartoons.
Yes, the old
because
ones.
the modern ones, I think a black guy does the voice of the ant.
Yeah, it's different.
So it's different.
Not Dean
So
Martin.
the ones that we're talking about is
From the 60s.
is the 60s version, so that way you don't get them confused. I have some fun things because I'm going to go back to my childhood a little bit.
So rack focus here. That's what that's supposed to be.
So first of all, I didn't realize this till a few years ago. Anyone that knows me knows I love everything English, British, European, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I thought that kind of started in high school because that was when I started to want to travel and want to experience new things. However, I saw this cartoon way before I turned 16. And so there's a series of Instagram videos where people talk about, when's the first time they say sexually awakened. I'm not going to go that far, but like, when's the first time you felt like,
crush or
that you had a crush, or maybe that you fell in love, and I'm pretty sure I saw this maybe at like 7 years old or something.
Yeah.
So I will admit to everyone here on YouTube, I was in love with Robin Hood, who he's not even human. He's a fox. But like,
I think it's just the introduction to like the British accent.
Yeah, British accent.
Yeah.
He's a swashbuckling fox. Like, hello, sword fighting for Maid Marian. And plus, let's be real. There's the scene in the middle where him and Maid Marian like run off into the woods together, and like everything's beautiful, and the song's going, and they're looking into each other's eyes. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to marry a British swashbuckling fox when I become an adult.
Yeah.
So I was definitely in love with Robin Hood. Also, Phil Harris, who did a lot of the voices for Disney.
But a lot of people probably know him from Baloo.
From Baloo. Here he was Little John. If you watch Aristocats, he played O'Malley. So like that voice is very comforting.
And it's very specific. Like that's a very specific voice.
And I saw him in like TV shows. Like I think he was an episode of like the Lucy Show. He was in a couple movies. He did a movie with Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby, and I'm blanking out. I
can see it in my head, and it's frustrating me. I'll remember it once
he was a regular on the Jack Benny radio program.
Yes.
In case, for those of you who just randomly listens to Jack Benny radio programs.
You know what? The people that know us probably will randomly listen to those.
Hi, I'm Jackson. Yeah. Phil Harris, he's the one who did the thing. While I was walking down the beach on a bright and sunny day, I saw a great big wooden box floating in the bay. I pulled it in and opened it up, and much to my surprise, I discovered right before my eyes. Just felt like singing that part there.
So go on Spotify. I'm pretty sure that's up there too.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Finding Nemo.
That's a good one.
This came out 2001.
That sounds
something like that.
2001, 2002.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, Crush. I loved Crush.
A crush on Crush.
Well, I wouldn't say I had a crush, but I loved like the surfer dude type of vibe he had going. Yeah. What I want is to go on a Disney cruise, and you've probably seen these videos on Instagram where you're sitting in front of the screen, but it's supposed to look like you're looking out at the ocean. And it's this interactive conversation between you and Crush, or whoever is doing the voice of Crush. Yeah. And it's super funny because I know there's multiple people, whoever does the voices of Crush are really funny, really sarcastic, really good job at staying in character. So that was a character that I really, really liked. So here we go. This is something that I'm kind of excited to show. So this is a sketchbook. Like I said, if you know me, you know I like to draw, and you know I like a character when I start drawing it. This sketchbook, I think I got in like 2009, so around my high school years. So this has, I'm not going to show you all of them. You're talking about Snoopy.
Oh, there we go.
Look at that old Snoopy.
We got Snoopy in the house there.
Yeah, so I have
the Snoopy on top of the roof.
I have a lot of Disney. It's not all Disney, but I have a lot of Disney. For example, here's Mushu and Cricket from Mulan.
Very nice.
I've got Maybe Dewey and Louie. And which is which? I feel like I should know this. Which is which?
What? Admittedly, I do not know. I think I've talked about them in clusters.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever talked about them separately.
Yeah.
So I don't know which is which. I should draw Uncle Scrooge at some point. I love Uncle Scrooge. Like
Mickey's Christmas Carol is such a good,
super cute.
So we talked about. I haven't talked about my favorite Disney stuff. Most of the stuff is Charity's things, but I am partial to the original. I do like Mickey Mouse, which I feel like you don't see Mickey that much anymore.
You see Mickey everywhere. You wouldn't have Disney if it wasn't for Mickey.
We don't see animated Mickey.
Well,
that much.
there's a modern animated series. Like, which Mickey do you like? Steamboat Willie Mickey? Do you like Mickey Mouse Club Mickey? Do you like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Mickey?
Or like Fantasia Mickey?
Yeah, which Mickey is your Mickey era is your favorite?
Well, okay, so I grew up watching the old Mickey, like Steamboat Willie Mickey, like little slits on the eyes and da 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 da, you know. But I guess in terms of stuff that I've used to just even up till now, I think I've grown up with like a mixture of like Fantasia Mickey or like Mickey Mouse Club Mickey, like from the 50s. So that's typically...
Is that the party's over? Yay!
Yeah.
Is that the one? Okay.
Yeah, or like the Christmas one. We got chipmunks in our tree. Again, we're making a very specific reference, but those of you who know, you definitely know. But I've always liked Mickey and Donald. Donald Duck have always been my two favorites.
You know, I drew Donald, different sketchbook. Maybe we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. But anyway, get back to your Robin Hood.
So we were talking about Robin Hood. This is Prince John. If you've seen the cartoon, you know whenever he gets stressed or upset, he'll suck his thumb.
Mommy.
I'm looking for... Oh, I talked about Finding Nemo.
Oh, perfect.
This is Squirt. I'm looking for... I have a couple of my favorites in here. It might be in a different
Charity
one.
has a big number of sketchbooks.
I do. I have...
So it's one of those like, well,
Way too many.
which sketchbook did this fall under?
I know, it's actually... Okay, here's the thing. So you know how some people, they might collect water bottles? Like, they might have,
Yeah.
like, the Tervis and then the Stanley Cup and the, you know, whatever. Like...
Charity collects sketchbooks.
Sketchbooks and journals. Like, whatever it is, I have and I don't even fill them up. And I probably should be methodical where, like, I start with the sketchbook, I draw in the sketchbook, I finish the sketchbook, I put sketchbook away.
Yeah.
But no, like, I'll have a drawing from, like, 2008, and then I'll draw in it, like, today.
Yeah.
And there's no rhyme or reason. And I say this because this one... I drew this after Angela Lansbury passed.
Mm-hmm.
It was sort of, I posted on Instagram, it was sort of my tribute to her. I will say my introduction to Angela Lansbury was...
the first Christmas Snow.
My Christmas, you know. But this is probably my second...
She's making reference to a Rankin Bass special.
Yes. And I'm sure we'll talk about that later down the road.
Yeah.
This was probably my second introduction to Angela Lansbury, and then later Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
But... Sorry, I'm wanting to get...
Next book, volume 2.
Well, I did that because that's an old one. People haven't seen that one. That's
Yeah.
a very... And I won't show you all the things in here. I mainly want to get to... Oh, we were talking about Oliver and Company. Sorry.
Oh, yes.
This is Georgette. So
That's a really nicely done Georgette.
shout out to Bette Midler for voicing her.
Georgette, yeah.
But I wanted to get to... Here we go. Here are one of my two favorites that I drew a while ago. So the new Lilo and Stitch movie is coming out. I drew this a while ago. This is Stitch. And so that's one of my favorites. Some of the pictures I color, but a lot of them I keep in black and white. And then if you've seen Up, there we go.
Very nice.
Carl and Ellie. This one's one of my favorites. And if you've seen the movie, you know, I tried to watch Up with my mom one time, and it starts off sad. You know, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it after all these years. It does start off sad. But then it gets happy at the end. But we were watching it together, and we never got past... She's like, no, turn it off. I don't want to watch it. I was like, no. You just got to get past the first part. It sets the scene for the story. She's like, no. So she has only seen the sad part of Up. We never even got past the beginning introduction part of it. But I love the story. So cute. Shout out to Ed Asner, who voiced the role.
And then was it Christopher Plummer was the villain in that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until I should have known better, but I'm like, oh man, Christopher Plummer. I guess so. Again, since we grew up with a lot of classic actors, like it's cool that we actually know who those people are.
Yeah. If you don't know who Ed Asner, if you've seen Elf, he played Santa Claus in Elf.
There we go.
With Bob Newhart, who was Papa Elf. So,
yeah.
I know. I remember this was. When Bob Newhart passed, and I was like, oh no, Bob Newhart passed, you know, oh, he was so funny, blah, blah, and people were like, who's Bob Newhart? I was like, Papa Elf. They're like, oh, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, or a lot of people
get an education, people.
Or a lot of people know him from Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. The people that I was talking to, they knew Papa Elf at least.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's this is, okay, so, just letting you guys know, within all of our episodes, we're going to have a lot of soapboxes. because we like to.
We should have called the podcast the Soapbox. Yeah.
Bobbleheads in the Soapbox.
It could be like episode, like the title for Friends episodes, the one with the soapbox.
The one with the soapbox.
But that would be
part 37.
Yeah. That would be an ongoing series.
I'm trying to think one more cartoon character that I like. Mr. Magoo. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Mr. Magoo. Mr. Magoo is a cute, extremely nearsighted, practically blind character.
Voiced by Jim Backus.
Gilligan's Island. He's a fun, oblivious character. Like, he leaves all kinds of mayhem behind him where he can't see nothing. And everything is going wrong, but he just thinks he's, this is just a great thing, Oh my God, you've done it again.
Later in the series, he had a blind dog, McBarker.
McBarker.
So
it's just Magoo's voice slightly with a bark in between. So now you have a guy and his dog.
Blind guy and a blind dog causing mayhem in whatever the city of Magoo is.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting since Jared's talking about like a lot of Disney characters. Mr. Magoo was created by basically it was a group of Disney artists actually left Disney and kind of started their own business. Started their own animation company, and one of the characters they created was Mr. Magoo. So, not that Mr. Magoo is a Disney character, but it's kind of based off of former Disney artists.
Which we watch most Christmases. There's Magoo's Christmas Carol.
Magoo's Christmas Carol.
Who plays Ebenezer Scrooge in the play.
Yeah, that's actually
raspberry dressing.
Oh, and you have Gerald McBoing Boing. Another character, and I didn't realize. So he has a speaking role in Magoo's Christmas Carol. That was my introduction to Gerald McBoing Boing. His real character, he speaks in sound effects. That's his character. He was born with that. So it's kind of interesting they actually gave him a human voice for Scrooge.
I wonder if that was the first time that he was... Like when people saw him and they saw him talk, I wonder if it was like, oh, he's using words.
I'm kind of curious because if you ever seen... And the reason why I knew about this is that back when Cartoon Network was still around, they actually made... I didn't realize it was based off an old show called Gerald McBoing Boing, but they actually remade the show on Cartoon Network. And I was like, what a weird show. Because the boy just speaks in like boing boing, like just actual sound effects. And I didn't realize until many years later it was based off of a show back in the 60s or late 50s or something like that. So, but anyway, that's another character created by that same company. So, but Mr. Magoo, I have a soft spot. I don't know why. I guess he's kind of like an adorable old man that has no clue what's going on, and that's just what makes it fun.
I think that's what's hilarious, that he's completely oblivious.
Yes.
Like, he could do something and the whole world's crashing behind him. Yeah. Actually, no. I'll spoil it. At the end of Magoo's Christmas Carol, he basically knocks down the set. Yeah. Like, I forget what happens. He pulls a cord or something. Yeah. And so while he's out there taking a bow, while everyone's clapping, the set, the curtain, everything is falling behind him. But I'm like, he must be deaf too, because he's just completely oblivious. Like, thank you, and like everything is broken.
Well, and not only that, because he is very nearsighted, he's actually facing away from the stage, and he's like bowing to the set. And then of course he ends up with the big, I brought down the house, because you got to take things literally in a cartoon.
I think there's two of my favorite things that Magoo did. One, he went and he thought he was looking in a mirror, but it was actually like a picture, like a painting.
Oh, yes.
So he's like, oh, I look great today, fixing his tie, and he's looking at a painting.
Looking at a painting, yes.
Another one, he was actually looking at a seeing eye chart, and I think he was walking into what he thought was like an office building or something.
Yes.
And then he was like, oh, it's closed today, but like he's reading the seeing eye chart, and it's got like, E and all that. But he's reading it thinking it's a closed sign, so I'm like, man, this guy's blind.
Yeah. Funny enough, maybe I'll put this in post. I actually drew Mr. Magoo.
Oh, you did?
For Inktober a few years ago. I drew Mr. Magoo.
I don't remember this. I did Inktober a couple years ago.
Yeah, so I drew some other cartoon characters too, like Dishonest John, Beanie and Cecil. Another randomly... I told you,
we're getting way back here.
My tastes are a little bit more...
About Clippic cartoon. That was a shout out to our dad. He's the one that introduced us to those. Okay, side note. Okay. I know we probably got over our time. Okay, so it was after, I think it was just after a Sunday dinner. We were eating with our parents. Mm-hmm. And we somehow got on the topic of cartoons that my parents watched when they were, they were kids. And one of them, my mom was introducing me to Milton the Monster. So if you're my parents' age, you probably know that. I had never heard of it.
Neither have I.
But I guess it's this mad scientist that accidentally mixed some potions together.
Yeah.
And out came this monster who I guess he adopted as his child.
And like, I'm Milton, you're a brand new son.
My mom, we were done with dinner. And we were just sitting there, dirty dishes on the table. And we were just like laughing. And they were singing. And they were looking at YouTube. Because some of the cartoons they told us about, I was like, this can't be real. Like, that's not...
some of those seem so random.
That's not a real thing. And then... and then thankfully YouTube, which has an archive of many things, I'm like, oh, I guess it was a real cartoon.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about YouTube is that you realize amongst the millions of people and accounts, somehow someone has seen the same thing you have, and it might be the only person that has some kind of recorded evidence of it, and have posted it on some obscure channel, and then you're like, what? And then it shows that you're not crazy, but then there's like, oh, there's another one like you out there that watched the same thing. So
we did that with Yogi Bear. We can't
Yogi Bear
without a shout out to our dad, because our dad's a huge Yogi Bear fan.
Yeah.
And I bring that up. So he was talking about specific things that are on YouTube.
Yeah.
So there was a scene that if you know our family, we will randomly quote like, you know how movies have like these great quotes, Our family doesn't pay attention to that. Our family will find the most insignificant line of a movie or TV show, and we will latch onto it. And so there's a certain scene from Yogi where he is about to approach a bull.
Yeah.
And so... I can't believe I'm telling the story. And so he makes this joke, which is kind of like a vaudeville joke, and he was like, tough steak? Yeah. And so it's a stupid line from the cartoon, but for some reason our family loves that line, and at least like us two and our younger sister will say it. But we were trying to find like the title of that episode or that specific scene, and so we went on YouTube and we scrolled for a while.
Well,
the weird thing about trying to find something on Google or on YouTube is like, what do you type in?
Yeah, to find that,
because it could be up, but you got to put in the right ones. So I think we put Yogi and Yuck Yuck.
I had typed in Yogi Bear tough steak, and it was the first video.
But it was just that scene, which means
it was just somebody else.
That there's another weirdo out there in the world that likes and probably quotes that scene too, because it's literally like a 8-second scene, and that's it.
It's very short.
So I'm like, he didn't post a full episode.
Just that part.
He posted that scene, which means that he probably says it too. So if you're watching, thank you for posting that, because we were trying to find
get it, tough steak.
Yeah, go on YouTube. Now the episode is over. Go on YouTube, look up Yogi Tough Steak Yuck.
Yeah.
And you'll find something that we've probably been quoting since at least 6 years old or so.
Yeah. And this episode would go on for like 6 hours.
I know.
Because we didn't mention like the Flintstones or like
Flintstones,
Jetsons, all the other Hanna-Barbera characters. Like my mom likes Huckleberry Hound and stuff like that. So that's a never-ending. We can make a topic over just
you can go
one
like
of those.
I'm saying those are all old. I mean, if you go slightly modern, I mean, in one of my books, I think it's this blue one. I drew Kim Possible.
Oh, okay.
So, like...
Well, modern is within the 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, whichever cartoon era. I mean, you can... Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Laboratory. I mean, there's so many...
Sorry, guys. Most of the stuff, at least for me, is... Like I said, most of it is early to mid-20th century.
Well, you did hear her say her favorite Mickey Mouse era is Steamboat Willie, and that's because she's a Buster Keaton fan. So...
Yes. We'll talk about that on another episode.
On that, thanks so much for joining us. And if you have any cartoon characters that we missed, I'm sure that there's plenty.
There's plenty.
You can leave us a comment, and maybe I'll draw a picture of one. I don't know. I'm feeling artistic lately. Now that I've got my art books out, I'm like, I should draw again.
I feel like I'm full of drawing coming on.
Yeah, if you want me to draw something, drop a note in the comments, and I'll see what these fingers can come up with. Until then, thanks for watching.